Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook.com/We Are Rogue Matter, YouTube.com/Rogue Matter, Twitch.tv/We Are Rogue Matter, and Twitter.com/Rogue_Matter. Then we take this wonderfully produced video and turn it into the greatest audio sound you've ever heard. Available on all major podcasting apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. Basically, anywhere you can get a streaming, anywhere you can stream an audio file, we are there. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort in crime, Mr. Hassan, Lord of the Radio Godwin. How you doing, sir?
I never managed to ask you, like, what crimes do we commit? Because I'm like the cohort in crime. Like, is there an enterprise? Is there a criminal kind of mastermind kind of situation going on? Because I don't
Well,
know
actually,
what are the
here's the thing.
crimes.
Here's the thing. I have developed a hypnotic suggestion that I've actually been broadcasting just to you. And so you have secretly been committing crimes without realizing it this entire time.
Really?
Yes.
Am I getting paid?
Well, I mean, if you knew that you were committing crimes, then you would have to stop committing crimes. It's part of the hypnotic suggestion. So no. The short answer is no.
While under hypnosis, am I getting paid? Like, even if am I hypnotized?
Oh no,
to
you are
be paid and
acquiring
not-
wealth for me. I mean, how else did I decorate this office?
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know, man.
I mean, if you'd like a cut, that's fine.
I think you just ruined your gambit just now by telling me. I don't know. But all right, we'll talk about that after the show.
We'll talk about that offline. Yeah,
Yes.
offline hypnotic suggestions. All right, we've got a great show tonight. We have a lot of stuff going. Major announcement yesterday regarding Deadpool and mutants and MCU and the ramifications of it all. We'll talk about that coming up a little later. We will also dive into some major, news in general. DC looking to actually shop their properties. I was reading an article. I want to get your take on that. But first, Rogue Matter presents all the stuff happening on roguematter.com. Kingdom of Tundo. This is the penultimate installment of Kingdom of Tundo. It's Myth and Magic Part 6. This is Rogue Matter Presents. All this stuff is still free, by the way, on roguematter.com. Still don't know how the checks are clearing. They are. All this great content.
Maybe that's the crime.
Maybe that's the crime. Well, not yet, because we're not stealing. Maybe at some point people will have to steal it.
We're getting paid, and and we don't know how we're getting paid. Maybe that's the crime we're committing.
Maybe that's where all the yeah, that's right. Maybe that's where all the wealth is going. It's not just to fund Sire Studios here. It is to fund everything that's going on.
Fund the criminal enterprise, man.
It's Rogue Matter. Yeah, no, it's free. It's up there. It's part 6, and just like we've done with pretty much everything we've done. Tales from Tundo, episode 6 is now up as well as a podcast. Dive in with creator M.A. Del Rosario, host Bevan. Go in depth into what's happening in this epic fantasy series for Rogue Matter. Speaking of epic fantasy series, it's kind of ironic because issue 6 of Tundo does a bit of a time jump. Issue 5 actually starts it off. There's like almost kind of an interlude, and the first 4 installments of Tundo, I'm not gonna say radically different than issues 5 and 6, but definitely a departure. There's a bit of a time jump, and it's kind of veering off into the second half of the story as we approach its conclusion. And another fantasy series just did this. Too much fanfare. I know you were shocked at my statement when we were doing our production meeting that this caught people off guard. And I don't disagree with you because there are things in the trailer, but I would say just the reaction I've gotten is people were caught off guard by this. House of Dragons did some recasting, and they jumped ahead in time. So a lot of the major characters basically are just they're different actors and different actresses now. Well, actors, I guess the same thing, whatever. But because it jumps ahead, and it did. It caught me by, it definitely caught me off guard, especially because I didn't actually watch it yet, and then I heard about it, so I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. It officially swapped Millie Alcock for Emma D'Arcy and Emily Carey for Olivia Cook. So those are the actresses that got swapped out. And the main character, basically, which I'm gonna mispronounce you do it. Come on, you got it.
Rhaenyra?
What's that?
Rhaenyra?
Rhaenyra Targaryen. Okay, so she was, again, played by the fiery Millie Alcock, a 22-year-old Australian actress, but now it's been taken over by Emma D'Arcy, 30-year-old English actor,
I
best
think
known
it's
for
just
Mothering
Darcy.
Sunday. What's that?
I think it's just Darcy.
Darcy, yeah, but
you
it's
don't have to pronounce the
got the
D.
apostrophe.
Yeah, but I think it's pronounced Darcy.
Okay, well, I'll go with that. And also in the Nick Frost and Simon Pegg show Truth Seekers, that's where she is known for. Queen Alicent Hightower has also been recast. The Cunning Ruler was initially played by 19-year-old British actress Emily Carey, who has previously portrayed the younger counterparts of both Wonder Woman and Tomb Raider heroines. 28-year-old actress Olivia Cook, who most recently played a pivotal role on Apple TV's Slow Horses, but has also appeared in films such as Ready Player One, Thoroughbreds, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, now reigns as the second wife of King Viserys Targaryen. So I got that one right, right?
Yeah.
Possibly. There we go. Feel good. I
You
know who
watch
they
the
are.
show?
I know who they are. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, if
their
you watch a
names.
show, they pronounce their names in the show. I mean, that's how you know how it's all
Very
pronounced.
infrequently. Very infrequently. Not enough to where you have the advantage because you
You-
read the books. So I think you have like just an
Well,
innate.
first of all, I haven't read Blood and Fire, which is a
No,
dictionary book where this comes from. So no, I have not read
you're
this.
just naturally articulate and verbose and learned. It's learned, son.
I just pay attention to the dialogue when I hear it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's
Names.
you know.
I'm bad at with names in real life, though. Like I used to be excellent with names, and then I went to college, and then I just started meeting all these new people, and I'm like, I give up. I give up with that. You know, I give up with the names. Yes, he is Lord.
Yes,
of the radio,
Aaron,
but...
I am the Lord of the radio. I'm
So
the Lord of all I hear.
The recasting got me searching the internet. Actually, it was kind of ironic. I didn't
Got
even have
those
to
wheels turning. This is always bad for me. When
Well, here's the thing. I didn't
you're
even actually have to
inspired by
do any
something.
research. You know those I use Firefox browsers, my main browser, and they always give you these like suggested articles that, certain websites lease out to Firefox so that they'll get extra hits. It's almost like probably a paid advertisement or something for their thing. So I saw something on IndieWire. It said the 25 most controversial recasting decisions in TV and film history. What caught my attention is one they'll name a little bit later. It's in the main graphic. But it goes into the recasting that happened on House of Dragon, which is actually kind of ironic, considering Game of Thrones is notorious for killing off members of the cast.
Yes, that's
but in this case, really, it was just the recasting of said cast members that caused the.
I mean, I'm sure they'll die soon enough. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I wouldn't worry.
So this IndieWire article listed out the 25 most controversial recasting decisions in TV and film history. There are some that I got to tell you, we don't need to even waste time on. There's the Aladdin franchise. I mean, obviously Robin Williams is not going to be playing Genie anymore, and it's not really very controversial. There's a Batwoman where they I guess that one is sort of, Ruby Rose was recast. And then I guess that one actually is you know what? I should have probably cued Aaron to grab that graphic. Oh, she did anyway. Look at her. Wonderful. The Batwoman one was pretty good. The CW made headlines casting Orange as the new Black star Ruby Rose as Batwoman. Yet Rose would play her for just one season before getting replaced by Wallace Day. The actor claimed they left the series due to unsafe working conditions. She was hospitalized for neck and back injury. So it was I would say, out of the ones they list on this article, that one really fits the definition of, controversial, correct? I mean, that kind of hits it right on the head.
Well, not really. I mean, if they quit because something stupid happened on set, there's no controversy. Controversy is either something like sort of scandalous or something mysterious, and there's nothing really
Well, this was
mysterious about that.
scandalous. I mean, she made a big stink about it, and I mean, really
All right.
went after them, and then DC went after Warner Brothers went after her, saying this is not true. We investigated, nothing nothing to this extent that she was talking about happened.
Okay.
So definitely not,
Fair enough.
yeah, not good, not good. Bewitched. Now this one I'm only bringing up because this the Darren Stevens recasting was the first time I ever, as a kid, I was watching these reruns, Nickelodeon, things like that. It's the first time I ever actually noticed that, hey, wait a minute, that guy doesn't look the same. What's going on with that? I don't understand. They're calling him the same thing. They're
Yeah.
even the actors are even named the same thing. There's Dick Sargent and Dick York, and I got to be honest, it completely blew my mind as the first recasting that I can think of. So I don't know. How old were you, or were you like? I think I might have been like 7 or 8 years old. So things like recasting just didn't. It boggled my mind. I didn't understand because I thought these people were real. Clearly,
Yeah, I don't know if I
the people are
watched
real.
Bewitched all that much, but I
No,
do. Yeah, but I mean the Dick York and Dick Sargent swap out is kind of notorious in
yeah,
television history. So
yeah. No, it is. It's very notorious. I didn't
yeah,
know.
Aaron's right. Yeah, you would not have survived
Yeah.
too many soap opera
Well,
series.
once I got Bewitched under my belt, then I was expecting it. So definitely at that point I was in good shape.
They
All right.
replaced Lionel from uh, the Jeffersons, one of the son of the
Mm.
Willises. He was replaced. I remember that. That's kind of probably the first time I noticed, like, hey, that does not look like the guy from last
There.
season. So that was probably my first foray into, like, wait a minute, these people can be replaced. You could
Right.
just put a whole different person in there and call them by the
Right.
same name. I'm not supposed to notice. And then my
Right.
mom was like,
That's a
nah, they
yeah.
don't care if you notice or not.
I like that though. That's a good one. And it's a good precursor to the one that I think is to me the most notorious one.
Hmm.
The Dark Knight trilogy, Rachel Dawes' character, Katie Holmes started out as Rachel Dawes and was replaced by Maggie Gyllenhaal. I don't think it's very controversial, but it was definitely noticeable, I would say. Big
Well,
difference
yeah,
there.
that's not unnoticeable. But Katie Holmes is a
Right?
smart one because she got out without getting blown up. So
Yeah, well, that's true actually. Katie Holmes probably read the script and was like, I'm
yeah,
out.
I'm not getting blown up. I have a special no getting blown up clause in my contract, so this
Exactly.
violates my agreement. I'm out of here.
Exactly. There's another Game of Thrones on this list that I bring up only because again, just when you're going to recast somebody, like recast them sort of to look the same. Dario Naharis, he was was plenty successful when Ed Skrein first appeared as Daenerys Targaryen's champion in season 3. That HBO didn't get his character's casting right the first time is a bit of a head scratcher. Michael Huisman took up the part in season 4, with many fans speculating Skrein left thanks to his new role in the Transformers franchise. The actor, however, told Entertainment Weekly at the time it was a lot more political than that. I don't know. Other notable recastings include Gregor Clegane, aka the Mountain. Although, I, would you?
3 times, I
guess,
think they cast him.
yeah. And Halfor Julius Bjornsson for the remainder of the series,
Yes,
and Tommen Baratheon.
who make some really funny commercials for seltzer
Yes.
water. Those are
Yes.
fantastic.
Yep. No. I think that's going to be good. One that I thought was interesting too was the Hannibal Lecter franchise. This is one where it's one of those recasting decisions where it's like spot on. You replaced Julianne Moore. You replaced Jodie Foster, Academy Award-winning actress, with another Academy Award-winning actress, and they look similar enough to where it's not totally jarring. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not.
What? Jodie Foster doesn't look anything like Julianne Moore.
I would say similar enough. Similar.
I know you would, but she
I'm.
doesn't. You're incorrect about that. They don't look
I'm not
anything alike, and
incorrect.
I remember that vividly. I'm like, wow, they
That
couldn't have
really did
found
that
someone
really
who.
catch you off guard at that
Hmm.
point? Like to
No,
the
not
point where it's
off
like,
guard. I was like, I mean, I knew that was happening, but I was like,
look at
oh
the picture
man,
on screen. Look at that. That's
yeah, they
for
don't
those
look
who's not
anything
seeing, there's a
alike.
side by side.
They look nothing alike. I don't.
I don't know.
I mean, all right,
I don't
never mind.
know.
Yeah, you
I
don't
don't know.
know. You don't know whether they. All right. Yeah, it's time for
I
glasses.
feel like
Time for some
very
glasses.
similar. Very similar.
What makes them similar? Because they're women. They're two
They
women.
both have reddish hair. They both, they both have a similar talking. The voice is very similar. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. This one we definitely.
We're not gonna mention Anthony Hopkins, from Brian Cox to Anthony Hopkins to what's his name for the young Hannibal Lecter.
Could.
I forgot who plays him in Hannibal Rising. I don't know it. I don't know the actor's name. But those are the three right there.
Gaspard Ulliel. That's the one. Yeah, Gaspard Ulliel. Well, I mean, anytime you're casting a young Anthony Hopkins, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, you have to. But I mean, that's a
right. That's
and
not
obviously,
crazy.
Brian Cox was the first person to play the role, and yet Anthony Hopkins is the one who made him famous, clearly, or uncontroversially.
Well, look at the picture here. Look at this thing. That is, I mean, like Brian Cox and Anthony Hopkins. That looks again, the Brian Cox version looks a little bit younger. That looks like what he would be, later on. So I think that at least side by side looks pretty comparable. It's not terrible.
Yeah, it'll work. I mean, it works. And then clearly Anthony Hopkins, like he had that role for dinner. So I mean, it's fine that people kind of forget that Brian Cox came first, because Anthony Hopkins just really blew that role up. But that is a casting change if it's in the criteria.
No, I agree. There's one on the Harry Potter franchise, but I think Aaron has a much more in-depth one that will break out in the next segment.
Harry Potter. Are you talking about lavender?
Yeah.
Very blatant lavender brown. Yeah. Yes, I remember that. I remember that being a thing. I don't remember it in the movies, because I didn't see the one before this, so I don't know who.
I have not seen a single Harry Potter film nor read a single Harry Potter book. I'm good with that. I feel good about it. I feel like I'm in an exclusive club that, I'm content with that. I have almost zero interest. I mean, unless you count being in a restaurant when they had Harry Potter movies on in the background. Never seen a single movie. I couldn't even tell you I made up the dialogue at that point. So, all right, this one's right in our wheelhouse. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, The Hulk. Ed Norton played Bruce Banner for the Marvel Universe in 2008. In The Incredible Hulk, when it was revealed that Norton would not continue his journey, Kevin Feige released a statement citing the need for an actor who embodies a collaborative spirit. Norton has since said he had a great time doing the project and holds no ill will toward Feige. Mark Ruffalo obviously went on to play the lovable Green Giant, and even made mention of the fact that he is a completely different person in the now
from the original
She-Hulk.
from the second Hulk movie.
Aaron asks, what about Eric Bana? Eric Bana is, that was pre-MCU. That's pre-MCU. That might as well.
Yeah, but that's a casting change.
That's a different cast member playing without cast. They'd almost have to acknowledge that movie then, in that sense. Because obviously Spider-Man has been recast. Spider-Man has been recast 3 times. That's,
Yeah, you didn't specify the criteria. You just talked about casting changes. You didn't say that.
Well, actually, I'm just reading from this article, and I kind of agree with it. And in the article, it was just Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo, because it's in the same cinematic universe. That's like saying that Adam West to Michael Keaton was a bold casting move, like a bold recasting. I don't know. I'm sure Batman will be touched upon in the next one, though, because there's definitely within that cinematic universe some recasting that has gone on. And finally, in this is the big one for me: Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Aunt Viv. That was one of those ones where. So I was 14 when Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on the air. Maybe I was probably even earlier, probably younger, but I think that season I was like 14, and it was one of those like, whoa, man, Aunt Viv looks different. But then to me, this was one of the first instances of meta that worked, that I recognized was when Will Smith, when he sees Aunt Viv, is like, hey, Aunt Viv, you look different. You do something with your hair. It was just like, It was one of those wink, wink, nod, nod to the audience, and I totally loved it. That was, I don't know. To me, that is the most controversial recasting decision, though, out of this entire group.
And
Your take.
Roseanne replaced Darlene, not Darlene, the other daughter.
The two Darlenes.
No, there's
Yeah.
another daughter.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I
look
forget
at
her
that.
name. Yeah, there it is with Kristen Cloak or whatever. And they actually
Becky.
Becky. Yeah, they actually said during one of the scenes in the show that when she came home from college, we hardly recognized her. So
Yeah, yeah.
they actually made mention of it. That was pretty clever.
All right, so
Aunt Viv, I never watched Fresh Prince, so
You never did. I loved
didn't.
French Prince. That was great.
Yeah,
Man, that
wasn't my
that
thing.
time period too. Again, the early '90s to me is just
Hmm.
one of those creative, paradises, right? Like music was great, comics were great, movies were great, TV shows were great. I mean, I know the '80s you could make a strong argument that the '80s were stronger than the '90s, or the '90s were stronger than the '80s.
Not for me.
I go early '90s as probably the best, though, personally, just because I don't think the music in the '80s was, to the artistic quality that the '90s have. But I would completely understand an argument saying the '80s were better than the '90s. I vote for the '90s over the '80s, but to me,
Yeah,
I
but
feel
that's
like,
your, speaking of
oh
role
yeah,
changes, that's just a standard like James Bond argument. Which is your favorite James Bond? Which
sure.
is the best James
No,
Bond?
agreed.
So
That's
there's
that's
no
kind of what I'm
winning that
saying.
fight.
That's what I'm kind of saying. I wouldn't put up a huge kerfuffle.
It's a kerfuffle.
Brouhaha. I'm trying to think of
Fuss.
other. Nah, fuss is too little.
I know, but I mean, it gets the job done.
All right.
Expedience,
These were the top
Expedience.
25, and there was more that we just didn't even want to bother.
Those weren't even the top 25, and they weren't controversy.
Well,
there's no.
I'm glad you said that.
Involved.
I'm glad you said that, because when we come back, our producer Erin found a whole bunch that we didn't even touch about, that were not mentioned in this article, and she thinks constitutes a much more controversial casting decision when we come back. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wav podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wav podcast.